Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar with TestOut. We're going to be talking about getting your students into IT, the top careers in IT, and we're also going to introduce some changes that we're making for a new version of TestOut IT Fundamentals Pro. I'm Adam Keys. I'm a product manager at TestOut. Also on the line, we have Paul Miller. He's a course development manager, and he's been our team lead for the IT Fundamentals Pro version 2 course. A couple matters of administration if you haven't been on a webinar with us before. If you have any questions, the task panel for GoToWebinar has a little drop down that says questions. You can click on there, open that up. You can ask questions throughout the webinar. If it's a question that applies just to you, we'll answer it privately just to you. If it's something that applies to everyone and would be beneficial for all, we'll save it towards the end with a question and answer time. We also have a really short survey at the end. It's just 4 questions asking about what you thought about this webinar, future topics you would like to learn about, what products you would like to see TestOut create, and anything else that you would like us to know. So that'll launch right after the Q&A when we close the webinar. It'll just pop up on your screen, and it only takes a couple minutes, and we really appreciate the feedback that you give. So with that said, I'm going to start us out today. Normally, if you've been on our webinars, I pass it off to someone else, but I'm going to be sharing some of the work I do as a product manager and understanding markets, understanding careers, and making sure that we have the best products and that needs are met for those products. So to start out, for those of you who are not familiar with TestOut, our goal is to make a difference in a person's life through education using breakthrough technology. And so that being said, our courses are browser-based. We create courses in IT fundamentals, in hardware and software, in Microsoft Office, in computer basics, in networking, security. You can see the list of courses on your screen, and we have more that are in development, including, if I mention a little teaser, we're working on a network defense or cybersecurity analyst course at the moment. More details to come on that, but I like to give that plug when I can as a product manager. We're going to be talking a little bit about IT and the careers in IT. Some of the things you'll see are completely my opinion. If you don't agree with it, feel free to just cast it right away. If you do, great. But it's from a standpoint of how I feel about information technology, what I think, and the different articles that I read. So talking about traditional information technology, we think about the computer guy. This is the guy that is going to set you up at work on the hardware, install your software when you need it, make sure that you're networked, make sure that the data storage on premise is right, getting the servers set up. It was an on-premise role that existed to support business operations. And that has shifted a lot in the last 20 years even. Modern information technology, we see many companies that are software as a service. Cloud computing and virtualization is especially prevalent today with all of the working from home, the education from home, and providing that online. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing areas in any careers or job roles. Data science and analytics is following that same track. It's even newer than cybersecurity, and that also follows under artificial intelligence and machine learning. And my opinion is that IT has gone from just a business support role to being the business. It is very customer facing, where technology is the product and it exists to maximize all aspects of business. We can see this in manufacturing and using data analytics to improve manufacturing flow, in retail, how customers interact with the business and how to improve the revenue and costs associated with that. So if you look at everything from manufacturing to hospitality to even the flow of traffic on interstates, IT and analytics and data has become an aspect that maximizes the efficiency of those industries. Now I'm going to share a little bit about top careers and roles. And the traditional sense of what is a prestigious job, people thought, well, you go to law school, you become a doctor. And a lot of people might not think IT manager, the guy that's not wearing a suit, he's in a t-shirt or a polo sitting at a desk and making sure that the IT functions of a business work, or creating IT products to serve customers. And looking at the data behind these, I'm going to go through a couple from different leading organizations. We'll look at Glassdoor, we'll look at LinkedIn, we'll look at US News. Starting out with Glassdoor, if you look at, I generalized some of these because I wanted to highlight the IT jobs in here, but if you look at the highest paying jobs of 2019 from Glassdoor, you can see doctor, that's kind of expected. You see some lawyers in there, but what you don't necessarily expect if you're not familiar with IT careers is that 14 of the top 25 on this list are IT jobs. So you can just IT management, a lot of those jobs come up through things such as a data scientist or a programmer. They lead to management opportunities and lead to these top high paying jobs. Looking at the full list, I just ranked some of these. I'm not going to go over each of these jobs. This is meant to be information for you, especially if you're looking at selling IT to students or to administrators. These are the highest paying jobs listed out that you can share. We'll send out this presentation after so that everybody can see these. And then if we look at the top 10 jobs of 2020 that Glassdoor is projecting, these are ranked on job availability, new jobs, job satisfaction, and salary. And out of the top 10, the first 7 are IT jobs. Moving into the emerging jobs in the US from LinkedIn, looking at these, 11 of the top 15 are in IT and the first 5. One common thing is I've researched upcoming jobs in IT. Data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning are some of the fastest growing projected jobs that are upcoming. Not necessarily that are fully there yet, but more and more companies are looking at data science as a key to their business strategy, and the job openings are just going to continue to grow at a crazy rate. And then finally, looking at US News, here are the top IT jobs of 2020, again, with projected jobs over the next 10 years. This isn't just in 1 year, but projected jobs and average salary for those positions. And again, we'll send these out after the webinar so that you can take a look at them for yourself. Now, moving on to the methodology behind, and I actually forgot to preface one thing. All of these figures are provided at the start of 2020. We are in a very weird time right now with COVID-19 and the lockdowns that have happened, the shakeup in industries, and it's something that's very unfortunate. Nobody could have predicted this, and I often have had conversations looking at the prosperity of our economy before this hit, looking at what could cause a downturn, and this was never something that anybody expected to happen. But as I look at the different careers in IT and those around me in technology working, technology has been one of those jobs that so far it's had a big impact on technology, but IT jobs have been much more able to transition to online just due to the nature of the collaborative online work that often happens with programmers and developers and IT managers. So if looking at something that is an industry that has a little bit less of an impact for something like this pandemic, I feel like IT has had a much stronger position to move people home and to continue working and supporting business than other industries, especially such as retail or hospitality. All right, so now going behind IT Fundamentals Pro, Paul's going to talk a bit more about this as the course designer, but when we were designing the original course, we built it to align to CompTIA IT Fundamentals Plus. And we've had great feedback. We've had way more than our anticipation for the original course. And we've also had a whole lot of requests. And out of those requests, we're going to look a little bit at the content areas when Paul gets into it, but we've kind of built additional content for what instructors and students have requested and aligned it so that it's not supposed to be a professional level that when they finish the programming section of TestOut IT Fundamentals Pro, they're going to be a programming whiz and a software developer. This is meant as a survey course that gives students a very good foundation of IT concepts, principles, and hands-on knowledge, and does so looking at what students could move into. And what I've done here is I've put some of the big areas that we cover in IT fundamentals and some of the career tracks that associate with it. And the numbers that you see there are expected growth over the next 10 years from Bureau of Labor and Statistics data. So how do you get your students interested in IT? The career aspect is good. There are good careers there. It's something you've been interested in, but if we stick to just conceptual knowledge for IT, I understand it can get boring. So my recommendation is always get the kids hands-on experience, let them see that they can build, they can create, and they can do really awesome things in the IT space. For example, I'll give a couple examples, but I don't walk through all of these. Building a computer, we had a webinar, I guess it was over the winter, I think it was in November, that we talked about how to build a hands-on lab. And building a computer is a great way to see how they function beyond just turning them on and entering a password to get in. In that webinar, we talked about getting donor computers, building a computer lab. If you haven't talked with local businesses or your industry representatives that help you, often companies are more than willing to donate old computers. And this is something that would be great to have for students to get hands-on. If they break it, it's okay, it was a donated computer. Looking at programming, there are lots of options out there. Sphero robots are a fun way to get students into coding and programming and making something happen outside of a computer screen. Raspberry Pis. I have a testimonial from an instructor out here in Utah that has been using IT Fundamentals Pro for the first year, and they said, you know, I went through multiple course options. Students weren't interested. They were bored. They didn't know what they wanted to do. We got them into IT Fundamentals Pro. They got hands-on. They were able to touch and feel what happens with technology. And these Raspberry Pis that I had on the shelf for years started flying off the shelves, and students all of a sudden wanted to use them. So getting the students hands-on really just opened up other opportunities for the students to get hands-on learning. And then when we send out these slides, I found a big list of activities that most of them are free to get students on with programming. And then one more, looking at data science, there are lots of compilers out there for code where you can just use it online. There's no need to download anything, and students can get on there and run Python code and see what it does. And one of the things I found, I believe it's from Google, is a site called Teachable Machine. This is completely free for education, and you can get on there, and I took a little screenshot, but you can have students use their computer and their webcam to have the computer learn. And the screenshot here is someone that programmed it to determine whether they were a tree or whether they had wings as a bird. And it's just a cool thing that you can teach a computer to learn based on what it is seeing, so visual learning. All right, so with IT Fundamentals, we're gonna have a new version coming out. It's coming out in July on the 14th. We'll have early instructor access that's on June 16th available to any instructors. There will be a very, very large increase in what our offering is. More videos, about over 3 times as many labs as the first version, additional text lessons, additional practice exams. And I highlighted the hands-on because that was the #1 request from version 1 to version 2 is, we love the hands-on, we want more, and that's one of the things we're doing. And again, I talked about that instructor that told me the students went interested from just touching the IT Fundamentals Pro course to moving into working on Raspberry Pis. And I had another instructor that I spoke with as we were looking at revising this, that they went through multiple different programs through CodeHS and Code.org and Adhesive, and found that this course just engaged students in a different way, and it was much more informative for them in the video learning, but the hands-on piece was what really got them excited. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Paul. He's been our lead curriculum designer. We want to show you a little bit about what we're doing in the new version of IT Fundamentals Pro, and I'm gonna pass the screen to him so that he can show you what's in the course, and we're gonna demo a few things there. Let me just switch it over to him. All right, and he's going to share his screen. So there's going to be a slight delay, but Paul, thanks for joining us today, and it's all yours.
All right, so as Adam mentioned, the first version that we released last year. We've seen a lot of success with that course, but we have had a lot of requests where we want more content in different areas. So we listened to all of that feedback and we added a lot of content. The first version of this course, we only had 24 hands-on labs, and now we have 105. And a lot more just expanded. We expanded in every single area that we offered in ITF Pro version 1. So I'm just going to look at a couple of labs here I wanted to highlight just in the time that we have. But if you look at the outline here, and you can get access to the detailed outline, all of the topics that we cover, the videos, the text, as well as the labs. And just a couple of highlights before I demo these labs. So we have had, we want students to have enough hands-on experience in various IT fields so that they have some kind of a basis for, if I were to go into this field, here are some of the things that I would do, not just the concepts that you would learn about, that you need to be familiar with. And one of the requests that we had is that, as an IT professional, you're going to use the command line. So we added in our operating system section Windows PowerShell and some Linux command line material as well. So there'll be some great labs in there, and we walk the students through these labs. We do a little bit of hand-holding, but enough to give them experience and to feel successful, but also to not expect that they are IT professionals, that they could do all of these things. So again, I'm not going to walk through any other specifics here, but I wanted to go to the programming section, which was where we really wanted to put some more effort into some labs, some hands-on. And I'm going to highlight just a couple of these. First of all, this is what we call our code visualizer. We're using JavaScript. And one of the challenges for students learning programming syntax and logic is they need time to let these concepts sink in. And so we created this code visualizer that walks through line by line what is going on. We have an explanation, and we allow students to change some of the values so that this example I brought up here is a simple for loop, just going to print out counter values from 1 to 3 or from 1 to 5 and so on. And so right now it's just going to count from 1 to 3, and we have the loop set up. I'm just going to walk through this really quickly, but you can see that the students can pause and they can just read through, make sure that they're understanding every single line, but it's actual code. And then you can see the console output here as the loop iterates. And when the students are done with this lab, we ask them some questions, and they might need to go back again and change some of these values based on these questions. And this is an interesting lab where we wanted the students to experience an infinite loop. What happens, right? How do you create an infinite loop? And obviously it's not going to freeze our program, but it gives them experience what happens when you have no way to end the loop. And so we have here this, if I reset, I can change the iterator here to I minus rather than plus plus. So that's just a way of helping students understand code and just basic programming logic. They learn about arrays and functions and loops and so on. And now I'm going to go through another lab just quickly. Once they have that basis of understanding code, I guess this is also a very simple code block that we're using here, another for loop. And we ask the students to actually execute code. And it's fill in the blank, similar to some other beginning programming tools. They can start off, they can read, okay, what do I want this code to do? Well, it's going to count by 5s from 0 to 50. And I can say, well, what should this look like? What should the console output look like? That's what it should look like. If I execute the code right now, it's going to have an error because I have not filled in the values. And let's say I say, okay, 50. I want to put I less than 50 there. And why don't we say I times I? Well, this is not going to work. You can still execute it though and see, all right, obviously that's not the output that I was looking for. Let's read this a little bit more closely and think about this a little bit more. And let me drag these values out. All right, what is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be I less than 11, and then I want to do I multiplied by 5. So if I execute now, that's exactly what I was supposed to get. Again, just a very simple example, but it gives the students an opportunity to apply the knowledge that they have gained as they've learned through the course. It's fairly simple drag and drop, but there are variations that they can go through, and it really helps the students to get just that basic foundation for understanding code, and if this is a career that they might be interested in. One more thing I wanted to highlight in the outline of the course is that every single chapter, we focus on careers. So at the end of this, let's say we're going to computer hardware careers, where we explore various options and tell them a little bit about things that they could do. And then in every one of the chapters, we have an interview, a real IT professional who is in one of these careers, where they offer advice to students. We ask them multiple questions, and they're a lot of fun. It just helps us to emphasize the career focus of IT Fundamentals Pro version 2. That I think that students are really going to appreciate, and as instructors as well. You want students coming through this course having enough experience that they can say, you know what, I really liked database queries. That was a section that really stood out to me, and I want to pursue that a little bit more. Or somebody who was interested in cybersecurity, they actually have some concrete things that they can point to, say, I liked this was cool to be able to do this. And that's really the focus of this entire course. I'm anxious for instructors to have access to the materials here in a couple of weeks that we're going to make available, so you can start poking around and see more what is in this course. So that's I think that's all I've got. Adam, if you want to take it back, and I'm certainly ready for any questions that people might have.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Paul, for showing that. Again, if you have any questions, we'd like you to open up that questions panel on the side. We wanted to make this a shorter time with you so that we didn't take too much of your time. We know for some of you it's wrapping up the semesters and we didn't want to take too much today. But we do have a couple questions that have already come in. With one of those, it says, with all of the additional material, will this still fit into a semester schedule at the K-12 level? And Paul, you might have some insight into that one. My answer would be it might be a little bit tight because we did expand it. It is well suited for a full year in K-12 or as a well-filled semester for higher education or career colleges. But it can be done. It might be a little tight. You might have to trim some things. Paul, is that the right answer?
Yeah, I would say, and there's certainly a lot of flexibility to pick and choose the materials that you want to cover. We have multiple sections in every one of these chapters, and if you wanted to just focus on the hands-on, right, you could cut some of the material down. But yeah, as an instructor, you should have all the flexibility you need to basically say, let's skip a few of these sections that are not as critical for the students to understand.
And to clarify that, if you are teaching to the CompTIA exams, we will provide a mapping that shows you what content is additional content beyond the scope of the exam, and it will still very well fit into a K-12 semester. So we will have mappings that show you how to map it very well to a K-12 single semester course. So it will still work well, and there will be additional material outside of that CompTIA exam that you can interest your students with, that you have the flexibility there as an instructor. And for length of the course, we do have a course outline available that's a draft course outline, and that will have the total times on it, and then that'll modify a little bit as we narrow down the course and finish. So we will make that is already available, and we will get that out to everyone attending so that you have that course outline. Do most instructors also use a traditional text or ebook along with IT Fundamentals Pro content? We've found both. This is meant to be a standalone course. It provides all of the instruction necessary to complete the lab. So what we do a little bit different than other course publishers is a lot of them just give you a big text and then provide supplemental labs. Ours is all integrated together and developed together so that as students learn, they get video learning and text learning to learn the concepts behind what they're going to be working on. Then there are demonstration videos that show someone working through the different work required to complete a task on screen, and then we put them into the hands-on environment where they can see it on their own. So this is all browser-based. It is an online course. And so I see probably half-half, where some are using only TestOut and some are supplementing with a textbook so that students can have a physical book in front of them, but it's not required. Teacher tools. Will teacher tools like other TestOut courses be available? Paul, I'll let you answer while I read through the questions.
Yeah, certainly those materials will be provided with instructor PowerPoints, and again, the course outline and lesson plan materials, as well as some other supplemental documents. Those will all be available.
And PowerPoints as well.
Yes, the PowerPoints will be ready.
Here's an interesting question. It's, when using the same program every day for a year, students can get burned out. Are there free online services that complement TestOut? We haven't put together a list of free online. There are some activities in IT Fundamentals that direct you to outside compilers for code or outside resources to look at. But there are a lot of free online services out there that offer additional learning. That's something we can look at in the future. It's hard for us to build it into a course because often with free resources, they either open source or they change rapidly, or something goes away or stops working. So it's hard to build that into a course permanently, because if that resource goes away, then when someone clicks on the link to go to the resource, it just is gone, or it's changed and doesn't match up anymore. But that's something I'm interested as a product manager of looking into, maybe providing or looking into the option of what additional outside materials could you use if you want to shake things up a little bit.
And I was going to mention, Adam, that I know that especially our K-12 team, our sales team, has compiled some of those lists of available free resources that they've collaborated with instructors. So we do have some of those lists available, and that would be a great thing to offer as part of our instructor resources, our teaching aids.
And we do have a couple questions on showing a different lab. We will have more resources coming out for this new course in the next few weeks that show some more demos of different labs that we offer, so that we didn't want to take up a ton of your time today by going through 6 different labs, but we will provide the ability to look at some of those new labs in the future.
Yeah, and I might mention, Adam, that when we have our is it June 16th? Is that when we're planning to give early access? So all of the labs right now are working. We're doing some final testing on some of those, but you'll have access to all of those labs. Some of the videos are still in production, so some of those you might not be able to see completely, but all of the hands-on labs, all 105, you will be able to see. If we gave you access today, you'd be able to, but we just wanted to get a few things in place before we do that early access.
And then if you have access to version 1, will you automatically get access to version 2 on June 16th? Yes, you will. We run a report that shows us all active instructors, and we automatically give that access. So you'll be able to go in there and select in LabSim and select your version that you want to look at. It won't automatically change over your class though. The product you use, the version you use when you set up your class, it will continue with that version. So it's not going to automatically bump everyone. It'll just let you as an instructor see it. Paul, tell us a little bit about student reporting with TestOut and what teachers can see there.
I don't know if I'm the best one to ask. I don't know a lot on the reporting side, but
for me.
Yeah, it's probably a better question for you. But I would be happy to show any more labs if people really wanted to show to see some labs as well. I mean, happy to show whatever I can. But yeah, that's up to you on how much time we have.
We'll share other resources with labs, so we're not going to get back into that now. The student reporting, sorry, I kicked this to you, Paul. This is more of a LabSim thing than a course thing. But you are able to see how much time students have spent in courses, their attempts and their scores on those attempts. So this has been beneficial. The most often I hear it is when I get someone reporting that our product has a defect, say that a student said the lab didn't work, it won't grade me. And we look into it a little more and we say, well, the lab's working great. Have you been able to see how much time the student spent in the lab? And when a teacher goes back, they can see, oh, the student spent 6 seconds in the lab. No wonder why it didn't score correctly. So there are a lot of custom reports you can pull for your class to see different scores, time spent in each resource, and it will work there. The new version of IT Fundamentals Pro, when it comes out, the old version will still be available. If you're looking for something that only aligns to CompTIA and does not have additional content, version 1 is still going to be available. We don't have any accelerated retirement plans for that, so that still will be available to you if you want to use that. And just for those who have asked about recordings or came in late, we will send out a recording of this webinar to you shortly after. It might take a day or two for us to get it posted online and ready to go, but we will have that available to you. Learning management systems, that's another topic that's come up multiple times in the questions. We integrate with major learning management systems. It works with Canvas, it works with Blackboard, it works with Schoology, it works with Moodle. Anyone that's LTI compliant, we have the integration available there so that you can have the single sign on everything you need to work with an LMS system. All right, and then I'll give a couple more minutes if there are any more questions. If you want to take the test vouchers, are they available to instructors? Yes, they are. You can get certified for free. You can access the course for free. Instructors, we want you to see our product. We want you to have confidence in it as you teach students and to get certified in the TestOut Pro certifications before the students have the opportunity to take them. So that is available. If you have a question on that, ask a TestOut account representative. We also, with the recording link on this, we'll send out an email that allows you to say, keep me informed or keep me interested. So that way, if you have any questions, we'll be able to reach out to you and get those. Again, the questions have slowed. If I haven't answered your question, feel free to send me a direct email. My email is AKEYS, so Adam Keys, akeys @testout.com. I'm always happy to hear feedback on what you think about our products and what we're working on. If I don't have the answer or it's a support issue, I'll get you connected to the right person to help you with any needs that you have. But I'm always interested with to have the feedback that you have on our courses. And so again, we'll say thank you to Paul for joining us, and thank you all for joining us. We know your time is very valuable, and we hope that the information we provided will help you understand the market for IT careers, as well as what we're going to be offering with the new version of IT Fundamentals. So with that, I'd like to say thank you again. We'll send out a recording, and there will be 4 questions that come up as soon as we end. So thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.